I'm all in. I've heard that 3-4 times in the last couple of weeks from PD coordinators, that when I explain to them what Acamas peer learning communities are, they get it instantly and they start thinking about all the staff that they want to participate in it. In fact, many of you joining on this webinar right now have probably been directed here, probably by your PD coordinator. The most important thing about these peer learning communities is that everybody understands what they're getting involved in. It's great, the excitement that we're building from schools, the number of registrations we've already gotten this week. This month, we're anticipating about, no, I should say June, we're anticipating about 1,000 to 1,200 subscriptions for peer learning networks. And that's just at the end of this school year. Most of them typically roll in around August once everybody's back and they start trying to identify where they want to join in terms of the communities. But that said, let's figure out and learn about what these communities are. So the Acamas peer learning communities, this is what you'll be getting in 2023, 2024. When you join a community of your peers, you'll be getting 5 90-minute professionally hosted virtual meetings by people as wonderful as Nancy Squicciarini, who's joining us today. These hosts have been selected just because they know how to connect people. They know the types of questions to ask. They look for opportunities to connect people. And it's the power of the community in terms of being able to meet that new friend, somebody to collaborate with. The community platform, where we're going to be sharing key insights, resources, and recordings of the meetings. You'll have access to a platform that doesn't require a VPN in China, that you'll be able to freely communicate with the different community members. There'll be regular posts on our platform such that to encourage collaboration, and we'll be looking to tap people on the shoulder that have important things to share. We want to invite everybody to celebrate what's going well in their communities and their schools, as well as to post relevant questions. We're going to recommend connections. The platform that we've built is actually built to recommend people to you based on common professional inquiries and goals. So you'll have an ability to be able to identify people right away as soon as you set up your profile. Better yet, for those joining a Mandarin speaking or bilingual community, is that we're going to have translated materials. So these communities are completely contextual. They're going to be language specific, and we're going to support those languages and contexts. Now, when I think about the 4 people that benefit from these peer learning communities, the first is somebody that typically doesn't have somebody in their school that they can collaborate with. I like to joke when I do a workshop, these are the specials in the corner. They got all put at the table. They're the arts, the music, the librarian, the counselor. Well, you know what? That's not going to happen anymore, because in the peer learning communities, you're going to be able to connect with peers across the region, across hundreds of schools, and you're going to be able to meet and group yourselves with people that have similar context. It could be based on the curriculum at your school. It could be on the city that you're in or the country that you're in. Now, the next group that we're looking to help are those that are new to a role, the school, or the country. They're looking for orientation. They're looking to, find others that might be in a similar position, that are curious about how to get started in that new role or in that new school, or even just looking for, hey, I'm new to China, what's common practice here in my role as a counselor? What are the types of issues I can get into in terms of helping students? And what are the things I should be wary of and stay away from? So that's that second group. The third group are those that are really experienced in the role. Now, there are plenty of people that are bringing experience into this community. One of the biggest concerns that people have is that they're going to be the most experienced. And I can assure you this, if you're coming into this community and there's 50 to 100 people in there, you're going to find somebody that's at a common level as you are. You're going to be able to match with them very easily. But here's something even better. You have an opportunity to lead out in this community. In fact, some of our community members from last year are hosts this year. You have the opportunity to not only share your wealth of experience, but bring new ideas into the community and test them. It can be a sandbox for you. Lastly, when we start talking about the sandbox, it's an opportunity to innovate. So just think about what you want to do next year in your school. Do you want to bring something new to your school? Is there an opportunity you're really excited about? Well, hey, why not work with a group of peers from different schools to see what it would look like to start it at your school? Maybe some of them already have, and you can learn from their experience. Now, this isn't something new. This is something we've already been doing. This year, Acamas launched a pilot program with 8 communities. One of the bedrocks of this community is that it is equitable. We are as inclusive as we can be. We create opportunities for non-teaching as well as teaching staff. We offer the context of language such that, we have a big audience in China. So we have Mandarin Chinese speaking communities. We also have bilingual communities where we might have a host speaking in one language and we pair them with another host because the community has a mix of language needs. So we bring 2 hosts into that community. But just when we take a look at the types of communities we have, I think the thing that's most important to note, at the Acamas peer learning communities, we try to identify those roles that are the most underserved. It means they have the least opportunities for professional development. And that's what we're focusing our time and attention on. We're always looking for hosts that we can develop and put into a position that they can lead the collaboration and the networking amongst peers that traditionally don't have that opportunity. Now, in the 2022-23 pilot program that we did, we had 450 people from 50 schools. It was a phenomenal success. I have proof to show this, not only because of the schools that were participating, many large ones, as you can see here. These schools came from China, Singapore, Hong Kong, Macau, and again, big and small, British curriculum, American curriculum, Canadian curriculum, IB curriculum. We had a mix of everything. But the success was really based on what we learned each time we met. Now in 2022, 2023, we did 3 meetings for 3 hours. As you can see from each session, based on the Net Promoter Score, the score got higher and higher. Now, for any of you that know anything about Net Promoter Scores, it's based on a -100 value to a 100 value. And we're really asking the question, how likely are you to recommend this to a colleague? And as you can see, we started with a positive value already at 26, which is quite great. But each session got better. The magic to the Acamas peer learning communities that we're bringing this year is that we continually learn. And again, I already identified one of our hosts who's joining today. Nancy's going to be participating in her own community with hosts. Those hosts are going to be meeting together saying, hey, what's working in your community? What tools are you using? What challenges are you facing? We have a team there to support our hosts such that we can continue to build on the strengths of what's happening in the community. We're very responsive to the needs of the community. I sometimes get asked the question, well, if I joined this year, what's the difference with next year? I mean, should I come again? And my answer to that is pretty simple. Your challenges this year are not going to be the same as next year. The people that you have met this year, they're going to change next year. That's ultimately the world we live in international education. Things are constantly revolving, they're constantly changing, and these communities are changing with them. You bring that context and that relevance in based on what's happening right now in your school, in your role. And this community is there to support and help you. Now, here's some testimonials. So Kassan Bratton at Nanjing International School, what he credited the success of the peer learning communities from this year was the fact that they were professionally moderated, that we had somebody there that not only was able to put together an agenda based on what the community's needs were, but they were responsive. And I want to give you a really good example of why you need good hosts. So we're going to start, a typical meeting is going to start with the host setting an agenda based on the community members' feedback. You're going to meet in Zoom. What the host is going to do is they're going to look for people in the community that can present out on whatever the topics are. Then they're going to create some breakout rooms with either some guiding questions or some instructions to help provoke discussion. Now, the real magic that the host brings back into the breakouts is that when you come back out, we're going to have some collaboration tools that we're going to be able to capture some of the discussion elements. Your host is going to be kind of cueing into, hey, what's going on in there? What are the key things people are talking about? Hey, guys, I noticed 3 things that are really coming out of every discussion. What I want to do is I want to create a bunch of breakout rooms based on those 3 questions. And I want 4 to 5 people max in each room. Zoom, you can manually opt into these rooms. And we can also help you just in terms of finding that right room. But ultimately, you're going to go into another breakout with people that have a similar query or interest. So in the meetings, we actually take the conversations deeper with people that want to take it deeper together. And that's when the collaboration magic happens. And when you really get to meet people in your community that we want you to continue to collaborate with out of the community. That's the importance of the host. And that's a lot of what Casson was talking about. Now, for Stephen Taylor at Western Academy of Beijing, for him, it was all about the equity and the inclusion. We create opportunities for a lot of roles that don't have those opportunities. Now, the coolest thing about the Western Academy of Beijing is we had a secondary lab techs community this year. I'm kind of speechless at the moment because the coolest thing in the world is one of the participants from that community is going to be the host for next year's community, a secondary lab tech, somebody that traditionally is just supporting a classroom, not getting involved in students. She used this as an opportunity to surface her own experience, get really involved and engaged, you know, set herself apart so well that it was like, hey, could you lead this community next year? And that's what we're looking for. That's the types of things that we really want to encourage. Now, here's another community example for you. Erin Wilson, phenomenal educator. She's in Bangladesh. She was recommended to us by somebody that we had a phenomenal amount of respect with. She had never hosted a community before, but she had a lot of experience working in communities. And she set herself apart right away because she was able to identify with all the librarians in her community immediately. She knew how to provoke conversations, and her authenticity and just the way she built rapport really engendered a great amount of community spirit, such that Jocelyn Chen from the Shenzhen College of International Education, this is what she had to say about her experience in the librarians community. Not only did she incredibly appreciate that experience, but she took things away that she could immediately bring into the school and benefited student learning. We have several cases like this from all of our communities this year, and we look to develop a lot more. Now, how we're going to develop those, identify those, and really share them out? Well, we have our online platform. And when you register, we're going to help you understand how to use it. Very simple. Forums, profiles, ways to help you connect with people. It's all going to be there for you. Places where we can store the recordings. You'll have access to everything you need. So now we get to the end of my presentation. And what can you expect? Well, we have these 40 communities. And we're probably going to be adding a few more. I promised Ewan that I wouldn't say which ones they are, but we just met a couple really cool hosts this week. They're interested in doing things. I want to say around, you didn't hear this from me, but there's a potential for student governance. There's a potential for, you know, tech directors, and we're exploring them and we're pursuing them. And within the next couple of weeks, you could see them on the platform. Aaron, if you don't mind, can you share a link to the homepage that's just been shared? So you can go to this link and you can see all of these communities. You can read about the hosts that have already been identified, and you can register. So the link that was just shared, you'll come to this page, you'll see everything you need to know about the communities. Here's the 40 communities. You can scroll down, get some information about them, learn about the hosts, such as Ross for the principals for elementary. Additionally, you're going to learn about the registration fees. And this is the important thing. For those of you that are coming in to learn about this as an individual, before you try to register, we want you to talk to your school first. And from this page, you're going to find a link to a letter. Now, the letter that we want to introduce to you is here. Now, what this letter does is it just talks about the communities, says what the prices are, and it says to your head of school or your PD coordinator, hey, I'm interested in joining an Acamas peer learning community. This is what it is. Before I register, just want to make sure that we don't have anybody else signing up, because if we do, I could save a lot of money. I could save potentially $100. And that's something that means something. So all that information is there for you. I want to let you know too, if you take this, if you're a PD coordinator or a decision maker, that you can pay in renminbi, USD, you can pay part now if you want to take advantage of PD funds from this year, you can pay in August. But most importantly, what we have for you is we have a discount model where if you were to basically confirm before June 30th, say, hey, I got 10 people to subscribe. And, you know, when you look at what that looks like and you're an Acamas member, that's a 30% discount right off the bat. If you come back in August and say, I want to add 10 people, we're going to still give you that 30% discount in August if you subscribe this month. If you raise it to 50 people, then we'll credit you for the entire amount as 50 people, and you'll be able to take that away as well. We want to make it as easy and cheap for schools as possible to subscribe and be members. So just know we have all of those options for you. And that's, my friends, is the Acamas peer learning communities in a little over 15 minutes.